us what was going through your mind when you were watching all of this unfold in the courtroom.
Well, John, this was certainly a surprise appearance today by Lorenzo Wright. This was not on the docket today. We got wind about this about 10 o'clock this morning, came over here to 201 Poplar, and about 11 o'clock the proceedings began. Lorenzo Wright has a guilty plea. She pleaded guilty to facilitation of first-degree murder and attempted facilitation of first-degree murder. She was sentenced as part of that guilty plea to 30 years in prison. She will be eligible for parole in about 8 to 9 years. And she will be given credit for the roughly 2 years she has already served since being arrested in December 2017. The legal team of Lorenzo Wright is speaking behind me. You can probably see them. This ends a more than 9-year saga after the murder of Lorenzo Right in July 2010 in southeast Memphis. Just a few days ago, last week, was the 9-year anniversary. This was a cold case for nearly 7.5 years until the arrest of Billy Turner in December 2017. Then Lorenzo Wright, a few weeks later, mid-2017, arrested in Riverside, California. In the courtroom a short while ago, Paul Hagerman read some of the key points of the affidavit alleging the crime that Lorenzo Wright committed. She pleaded guilty. After the guilty plea, prosecutor Paul Hagerman said this was a guilty plea. It was not an Alfred plea where you're presuming you're maintaining your innocence, but you're still pleading guilty. This was a guilty plea. The attorneys behind me for Lorenzo Wright just told me if you could call it a best case scenario guilty plea, they would, because she is potentially eligible for parole in 7 years. She could get out of prison in her 50s. Now, the other co-defendant, Billy Turner, this is significant. He was supposed to be sentenced tomorrow on gun charges tied to his arrest. It wasn't directly tied to the Lorenzo Wright murder, but it was gun charges tied to being a convicted felon. That has been postponed, but as it stands right now, Billy Turner is still scheduled to stay in trial in mid-September. Lorenzo Wright was also expected to stay in trial starting September 16th. That obviously changes now that Lorenzo Wright pleaded guilty this morning. Again, the sentence will be 30 years, but as part of that guilty plea, she